Good evening and welcome to Vinyl Happy Hour. I am Skylar Davis here at Culture Shock Clothing and Records. I'm the owner of that store. We've been open for almost 14 years now. I'm a huge record collector and I've been collecting records many years before I even had that store. For Vinyl Happy Hour tonight, it's always hard to pick what five. I want to narrow it down to 5 records. And this week there was so many great releases, but I'm going to bring the indie exclusives to the top 3 here. Of course, that's what I want to focus on. So special color releases. And the first one is one that has been unreleased for 45 years. Lots of rumors have gone around the music circles about it, but it's finally out. So with Vinyl Happy Hour, every Thursday night, we're going to break down some new releases, some holy grails. Tonight I have a really special release for the top of the pack too. But of course, we're going to have some drinks also. And I think after this year, the way it's been going so far, we all could use a good drink. Tonight I am drinking some Maker's Mark 46. I've got a glass over here for Lauren too. A lot of you might be familiar with Maker's Mark. This is one of the bigger names from the Kentucky circle of bourbon. So it's a Kentucky bourbon. What's different about the Maker's 46 though than the regular Maker's Mark is this is barrel finished with oak staves. It definitely, I think it's about the same proof. It might be a little higher proof. It's a 46, it's actually 92 proof. So it's a pretty high proof whiskey, but it's still pretty smooth. You gotta let it soak in for a little bit though. It's not gonna hit you as hard as some of those spicier bourbons or some of those other kind of mixed ones. This is not I don't know. It's not like Maker's Mark regular stuff. It definitely brings out a different flavor by whatever they did with the oak staves in the barrels. Makes it completely different. I poured some for Lauren the other night and I was like, can you tell me what this is? Because usually you can tell what Maker's Mark is. It's a little bit on the sweeter side. This reduces the sweetness, but it doesn't burn too bad. It can hit you a little bit hard at first though, that's for sure. But it's a nice premium bourbon really, and I wouldn't mix it with anything. I like just drinking it neat. So what else is cool? A lot of people usually remember, this is hard to open, but they wax seal coat all their bottles. And I think that just looks so cool. But we're going to jump right into the first one I talked about tonight on Vinyl Happy Hour is a record that has been unreleased for 45 years. Evidently there has been bootlegs and leaks of it. This is Neil Young's Homegrown album. Now this came out in '75. Well, I'm sorry, it got recorded and was scheduled to be released. And well, Neil Young, he's a kind of in the industry known as a real weirdo. He is a strange guy, that's for sure, but he's done so much great work with Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, Buffalo Springfield. His girlfriend, or actually I guess it was his wife, but he'd gone through a breakup with her, Carrie Snodgrass, and they had a kid together and everything like that. This album was recorded during that breakup, and it just tore him up, and he didn't want this album to get released. So he shelved it. He pulled all the releases of it and shelved it, and never came out until just now. This was supposed to be a Record Store Day release. We talked at the top of the hour about Record Store Day also. Record Store Day's got all sorts of screwed up this year. So this was supposed to be a Record Store Day release coming out in April. It got pushed off till June. Now Record Store Day is getting split into 3 separate dates in August, September, and October. But this one got pulled off the list and got released to independent record stores early. It's out right now. It's actually technically out tomorrow, so it's showing up as a pre-order, but we have it at cultureshockshop.com and in our store. Please check it out. We got quite a few copies, so that we're going to share the link to that too if you want to check it out on our website. But this is really interesting because it was already made to be released for Record Store Day, so it actually has a Record Store Day sticker, even though it's not coming out on Record Store Day. So that's interesting. So it says it's the exclusive edition. This is getting a release, just the regular version, but the exclusive version for Record Store Day comes with this lithograph print free. It's the same price as the regular album, but you get this like frameable print of the album for free with it. The other thing I noticed about it, because the other thing about Neil Young is he is notoriously strange about audio quality. If it's not up to his snuff, he won't release it. So the label looks like the original Reprise record label from the 70s, but there's that little black square there that says SRS, made from the original analog tapes. So Neil Young, even though this is coming out many years later, he's used the most modern technology to get it sounding perfect. I got a chance to listen to it. We got him in a couple days early. It's a great sounding album. I'm getting a copy for myself. It seems like a lot of these records we show off for Vinyl Happy Hour I'm picking up a copy for myself. I just can't help it. But it's so cool that that's finally out. There's a lot of other stories about Neil Young. I want to do a whole night talk about Neil Young and some of his other stuff. So in correlation to his discography, this came out, or would have come out, I should say, right after Harvest and right before Comes a Time. So this is definitely Neil Young's real traditional, folky kind of country. You know, he bought his canyon home out in California and was recording out there and just with the land and real chill. So this is definitely more of his kind of more acoustic and folky-like stuff. A great album. It's never even been released digitally. Somehow it's been hidden away for all these years, a full album. So that is out right now. Like I said, it's at cultureshockshop.com also. That's kind of, I'll call that an indie store exclusive, even though it's got the record store day tags. The next one is another record that is an indie store exclusive this week. Phebe Bridgers. Let me get this off so you can see it. This is her new album, Punisher. Now, because of the coronavirus and everything else going on, this might have gotten delayed. I know she dropped a digital version of this maybe a couple months ago. But I love the little sticker on here for it. It says what color vinyl it is. It's from Dead Ocean's label. It says red and swirly. And so I'll show you the color vinyl, but the little barcode actually says Merlot Wave vinyl. And I would say after playing it today and seeing the color of it, I would call it Merlot Wave. I like that name. So you can see it's kind of see-through magenta Merlot wavy. We were just listening to that. So the artwork also is great on this. It's got a nice gatefold, nice thick vinyl cover. And it's got this really cool booklet. So there's a nice huge booklet. You can flip through that and see all the lyrics to her music in here. This album, actually listening to it, it is a little calm and quiet at times, but it really pays off for those times when it just all links together. I even heard a little bit of, I was hearing some more kind of even bluegrass stuff in her, you know, kind of her indie folk sound. She's great. She's been really blowing up. I know she did a release with Conor Oberst of Bright Eyes, and I heard a cool story the other night. She was on NPR talking about how she met him. He had some birthday show and had some other musicians playing with him, and she was urged to just get on stage as like an opening act. No one knew her quite yet. This was a few years ago. And he came up talking to her, said, "Hey, I loved your song," and she did an Elliott Smith cover, I believe. So they started a conversation, and somehow they ended up recording together. So it's cool to see how that comes together, but I think I like this booklet as much as the vinyl and the color vinyl and the jacket. It's such a cool, nice, thick booklet. And it's not just lyrics and stuff. There's different artwork for every page, too. You have to get your own copy and check it out. Like I said, if you guys are here in town, come to Rockford to Culture Shock and check it out. We have quite a few copies of this still available. It's coming out tomorrow. You can also check it out. Lauren's putting up the link to our website at cultureshockshop.com. Another indie, I mean, this week is getting crazy after this coronavirus or whatever's been happening. There's a lot of releases coming out. Lamb of God has a brand new album out. They put out a teaser video and stuff like that too. They actually put out a video talking about, oh God, where are they from? I don't know, I forgot. Ohio, Alabama, something like that, talking about the record stores that they've always gone to where they've picked up records, and they urge people to go out and check out their independent record stores, to either order online through your local store if they're closed for coronavirus, or to pick it up in the shop. But they have an indie store exclusive too. This new album from them, it's kind of like a black and red swirl, and there's only 1,000 copies of it. And this is on Epic Records, actually. It's kind of weird to see the Epic label. It's such an old label. You know, I'm used to seeing Cheap Trick and stuff like that on there. Forget that they're still releasing stuff. This is a cool album. It's pretty brutal still. These guys are getting older. Randy, the vocalist, has the deepest vocals still. And the way their drums just all hit, and they have like this really weird bass drop every now and then, and it's heavy, brutal metal. It's a great live act too. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be seeing a lot of live shows. I've seen them several times with Chimera and, I don't know, tons of other bands, Death Clock, stuff like that. So definitely cool that some of these metal bands are putting out indie exclusives and making sure you know they're at your local record stores. So kudos to those guys. Those top 3 were indie store exclusives, meaning you can only get them, these versions, at independent record stores. So support your local record stores wherever you're at, or if you want to check out Culture Shock online, please go to cultureshockshop.com. That one, only 1,000 copies of that. We have a few of those 1,000 copies at the store. And although our next release, it's not an indie store exclusive per se, it is a special release because of the way it's packaged. I don't do a lot of listening to Lady Gaga, although I'm totally fine with listening to her. She's just not on my top list or repeat list or anything like that. But her music, for the dance and pop that it is always okay with me. But what's cool about this album is that it's clear vinyl with just like this real minimal futuristic packaging. This is Chromatica, her latest album. And the other great thing about Lady Gaga is, of course, it's Pride Month and things like that are going on. She has a lot of social media clout, and she's come so far, but she's always seems pretty willing to speak out about minorities, immigrants, all the gay rights activists and stuff like that, and she's a big fan of that, and she uses her big voice to let it be known. So it's cool to see someone in that level speaking up for people and always speaking what's right. Of course, this album is not an indie store exclusive, like I said, but it is on our website at cultureshockshop.com. Check it out while you can. I don't know how limited it is. I totally appreciate that she's done that. She's used her leverage as a social media superstar, as a songwriter superstar and performer, all the stuff that she's done. So I don't know. I just think it's really cool to see people doing that. We want to feature, probably coming up, artists who are speaking out and artists who are revolutionary. We want to do some themed shows coming up. So I'd like to hear what you've been listening to and some artists who are out there making waves, either in the music industry and stuff like that. Just talking about that kind of stuff. Culture Shock really focuses on trying to bring in music from record labels that are paying their artists fairly, that are working with the artists. Same thing with our clothing and gifts. We really try to do our best with things that are being ethically made, things that are made locally in the Rockford or Illinois area. So we're always really concerned about that. And it goes into our music and our record section even too. So we have a lot of choices out there, and I think that part of the whole Buy Local initiative is to make sure you think about your choices, where you're buying your items, and what businesses you're supporting too. But I do have a big special album here, something I've been waiting for. This is a really cool release, and I'm going to kind of call it my holy grail of the week or whatnot, even though it's a new release. The packaging on this, the layout of this, that's kind of mostly what we're talking about on Vinyl Happy Hour, because we can't play samples of these. You've got to go check them out yourself. But this is the Sword Conquest of Kingdoms. This is $50, but I feel like it's worth the $50 in the way it feels, the way it looks, the way it's packaged, and how it sounds. This is like a career-spanning collective of the live music and unreleased music of the Sword. If you're not familiar with the Sword, I originally thought, that they were European or something. There's a lot of these kind of stoner doom rock bands that always seem to be from like Finland and Sweden and England, things like that. But these guys are from Austin, I guess, and I always forget that. But back when I first heard about them, they were one of those first kind of throwback rock metal bands that I heard about using vintage equipment and just kind of having that older look. But let's check this out real quick. So this is a triple gatefold, triple LP, and it's got this spot gloss print on it. So you can see there's some really cool shiny areas. I put this little strip, they call it an obi strip, and usually your Japanese releases have it down the side. I think it looks cool on the top, but it's just a cool little way for them to show the track releases on it. But the artwork on this, I think you should see the gatefold on this side. It's probably hard to see in that panoramic view. And then each one of the 3 records inside is on a printed insert, and it's got a sword 1, 2, or 3 for each of the LPs. It's a great job. They were supposed to put this out on like crazy splatter color vinyl, but I don't know if that got canceled because of coronavirus, or they just didn't do it, or had quality problems. But that's okay with me. I'm happy to have an affordable black vinyl version of it, triple LP. That one's also, we got a few copies of that. I don't know how limited it is, but that is up at cultureshockshop.com. That's my pick of the week. There's a really cool thing too here on the back. It shows you a couple of the album or songs have been released, but there's a little star listing that shows all the unreleased stuff. Some of these are cover songs, and some of them are live. Never seen them live. One of the few bands that I really like that I never did get a chance to see. And I love that there's not much audience noise. I mean, it's cool to hear some audience noise on a live recording, but it can really just drown out the music. So I like what I'm hearing though, and a couple of the songs were played pretty fast. So, it's kind of almost a punk rock fast, which I never would have thought. These guys usually play real slow and steady, and kind of that old school stoner psychedelic rock sound. But yeah, it's a cool release, great packaging, great job. I'm glad all these record labels and these bands are working together to get these releases out. And that's what we like to highlight and bring to you for Vinyl Happy Hour and in our store every week for new Friday releases. We've got posting up always on our Instagram and Facebook every week, kind of highlighting some of the other releases that we don't feature on our Vinyl Happy Hour videos. Again, I suppose I just want to say thank you so much for all of your support to the local businesses and our store throughout all the shutdown that we've had and helping us reopen and bring our employees back. So much gratefulness for all of that and all the people who checked in on us. And even before we had our website ready, people who were trying to figure out how to do curbside pickups and any way they can shop with us still. So all those little messages go a long way and mean a lot to us. We still have lots of big, new, exciting things coming in this year and changes that we're doing in the store. Please check out our Vinyl Happy Hour videos every week. Shoot us any messages. We want to know who's watching this, what you're drinking, what you're listening to, or any other questions you might have can get directed to our email. Please check out the website if you can't come in and check out the store. Of course, if you're in town, we hope to see you soon at Culture Shock. Cheers, guys. Thanks so much.